There we go. Another beautiful day in the funky mental verse. Start off by looking at a freshly cropped rice field. It's been quite rainy here last few days, last few weeks. Not surprising, as it's the rainy season in Cambodia, but it's still beautiful. You can see some of the clouds a little bit darker, but there we go. Anyway, I thought I'd start this one off with a little bit of floral display, and then we can get back to it. And just a little bit more of our orangerie. Love it, love it, love it. Sweet. So with this one, the thing about where to start with all of these is it's difficult. Conceptually, the best place to start, I guess, is the beginning. So let's call this the beginnings, which is kind of like Kipling's Post, which has been read about a few times, the beginnings, which is an interesting alignment to what's currently ongoing. But nevertheless, when I 2019, it was a collapse of everything. So I went and actually sought some help. It's the first time I'd ever tried. Probably one of the hardest things I ever did was to reach out and ask for help from somebody, anybody. Prior to that, in all of our experiences, relatively, it's not just me. Trying to get help from people was kind of difficult. But long story short, the choice was made between, let's say, something more negative, darker, and something more, let's ask for help. And having sat down for an hour with a guy, just talking through this stuff, he dismissed everything I had to say beautifully. Beautifully. I didn't know at the time. Beautifully dismissed everything I had to say, asked me what was wrong, and I talked him all the way through all of my problems, and he said, nope, 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 nope. And we get to a point where there's nothing left, and he's saying, so keep going. And I can't, I don't know where to go. And he said, so precisely. And I said, what do you mean precisely? He said, you don't know when this started. You don't know when the problem started. You don't know. It happened before you can remember. Now, this to me was a very difficult concept because all of my memories and all of my thoughts and all of my patterns were inside my life, if you want, the experiences. And all of a sudden, I'm being asked to explore places that were outside of that. And that's where the truth I find lies. The beauty of what he said, and the beauty of everything that I stand to today, is who's going to kiss it and make it better? No, I've been told that this is like tough love or these sort of, no, that's nonsense. It's just truth. You didn't know what happened. You were ignorant of it. Now you know better. Who's going to kiss it and make it better? So this is the sort of path that I took from the very beginning. Was whose fault is it if it's not mine? I kind of realized very quickly that I was the common factor, the common denominator in everything that had happened. And therefore, who else is there to blame? So we get into this, who's going to kiss it and make it better? Almost like I started it, so I'll finish it. And on the bigger picture, we started it, so we'll finish it, which is more of the universal aspect or the creational aspect, if you will. So everything moved on from that point. Who's going to kiss it and make it better? Good. So this ended up with two or three. I think it was two major collapses in my own belief systems. A reevaluation, if you will. Call it whatever you want. It doesn't make any difference. But what I'd had prior to this time was I call it static or white noise. It was like just a constant your head was full of this sound, this noise, these voices, these words, these lesser facts that were coming in, these fears, these negatives, blames, doubts, self-pity, self-righteousness, injustices, left, right, and center. And through this process, which once I was told who's going to kiss it and make it better, took 3 days. And realistically, what I did was bypassed. I forgave myself, but gave others blame, and that took another 3 days to release that too. If I didn't know better, nor did they. And all of a sudden, I had this experience of, it was almost like a poof through the chest area, but also a quietening of the mind. All of the static noise and all of the white noise disappeared. And I was left in this place of peace. The problem with the peace was it had nothing else attached to it. All of the other values, all of the other belief systems now were meaningless. I'd been sent into myself, if you will, or chosen to go in to a depth where there was little to nothing left. And then had to look at evaluating experience from a place where the previous values were, I use the word transient. I find them to be temporal. They were only for a period of time. They always required somebody else. And any feelings or any emotional stability that was felt was taken away. It was never yours, never mine. Sorry, never mine. So in this respect, it was now have a look at it all and what you do. And I was fortunate because, again, I'd lost all will to live, if you will, that I looked at everything backwards. I thought, well, let's do it all the other way around. Let's look at everything we used to do and twist it. What if I don't do it? What if I do it the other way? And that's when everything started to unfold. In actually taking a step back and reversing the process and doing it completely differently to the way we've been educated, indoctrinated, programmed, hybridized, whatever you wish to use, and shift perspective. Now, one of the biggest things, again, at this sort of time that I was contemplating was limitation. I'm going to use a lot of different words in these conversations or these little chats that have been redefined, undefined, and redefined, and use slightly different nuanced or abstract values, not the ones the human knows, not the ones that the ego hides behind or the defense systems hide behind, but words that are unlimited, words that allow for expansion, not contraction. And this was the process that I started with, alongside a few others that came along the path with me, some for longer than others. But it's that aspect that I'm going to explore next. So realistically, this is the beginning. This is the start of the conversation I had with inwardly, the reconnection, the reunification. It was very shortly after this period of time that I started to realize that the problems, the causal effects, let's say, were mental. They were mental's the wrong word. A lot of this stuff is the wrong word. Let's say using the wrong set of programs, the wrong routines, the wrong consciousness, which and not the wrong ones either. I don't want to call it right and wrong, but a flawed set. Let's call it that. An unfounded and insecure set of notions that were given to me, given to us. All of this is about us. I think this extrapolates across many planes. Yeah, so it was at this time. Can you press the pause a second? So this time I started to look at the limitations and explore what could be. I've been a theorist of conspiracy, let's call it that, or an outward thinker or a marginalized individual, all of these things that we've all endured for a long time. And unlimiting that when I thought it was already unlimited was a funky idea, funky mental, to create a fundamental agreement with myself. And the first promise I made was not to let my head get in the way of my heart. Now, I didn't know. I was told at the time I didn't love myself. I hadn't given myself the love or hadn't received the love I was due. So, okay, I took that on board, but I couldn't factor what love was. I couldn't find this word love. It was nebulous. It meant so many things to so many different people. It was fleeting. It was temporal. It happened and then it didn't. It was, people yearned it and I came to understand that we are love and love is undefinable. It's not something, it's everything. But at that time I didn't know. So I had to redefine it. And I defined love is truth and trust within. That part of it couldn't be taken away from me. It didn't need anybody else. It just needed me to believe in me, and I didn't before. So how do you do that? And that was the path. It was really a path of, can you trust yourself? And an exploration of, well, how do I trust myself? And then a realization that, well, you're the one that's creating the problems in your trust. You're the one that's disconnected. You're the one that believes you are anyway, and you're not. Again, conceptually very simple, but very difficult to break down when your mind's telling you all of these stories, repeating on programs that seem to be emotionally fired or triggered, and run on feelings that, I love the worm in the Pink Floyd, are of almost human nature. This will not do. But they're feelings, the feelings associated to what? As if those memories are real, and they're not. They're a temporal timeline where we didn't know better. And when we think back to them, we can actually create anything we wanted to in those pasts. We don't need to keep replaying the same over and over again, thinking those feelings are real when they're a flawed, lower dimensional aspect of ourselves. Now, a lot of this I will dig into as we move forward into the conversation a bit further. But from this place, it was an unlimiting, and it was based upon not letting the mind get in the way, and actually allowing the heart to sing, allowing the body, the physical, the energy to sing without any friction, resistance over time. And this meant examining my every thought. I had to be meticulous of the thought. It wasn't just the action. It wasn't just the word. It wasn't just the produce. It was the cause. So it was looking at cause effects, not cause and effects, sorry, not just the symptoms, not just the effects. And this took me on a very, very, very deep, let's say deep path. And I'm going back to 2019 still, early 2020. I've really only just opened my eyes into reevaluation, undefine, redefine, and really pushing the boundaries of limit to raise the ceiling, let's say, of consciousness. Let's use that word. Knowing, gnosis, as opposed to idiosis, which is being told something. Idiotic is literally the being told something and believing it. Gnosis or Gnostic is the innate. So this innate sense, this purity, this energy, this creational power, not forceful, this peace was the reward. The reward is the true state. But nevertheless, this is what came from all of this at the very beginning. And this is what extrapolated over time. And this is what, on this Funky Mental Verse YouTube channel, I'm going to attempt to explore, as you can probably tell by the way I'm talking to myself on a camera, which isn't the best. I'm not great at it, but we'll continue and we'll see how we go with this. So much love to everybody, and let's see how this one comes out.